All right, let's talk about Elon Musk. You know him today as one of the richest people on the planet, right? But what if I told you he was once just hours away from losing absolutely everything? That's the story we're diving into today. How he bet it all, came this close to losing it all, and somehow managed to survive. And we're not going to start at the beginning. No, we're going to start at the bottom, the absolute rock bottom. Just listen to what Musk himself said about the year 2008. This was the year that was either going to be the end of the story or the incredible beginning. So that's the big question, isn't it? How did the guy behind SpaceX and Tesla get so close to complete failure? You see, to really get a handle on his wild success now, you first have to grasp just how massive the struggle was. And for that, we do have to go back, way back. Okay, let's hit rewind. Where does that relentless drive come from? Well, his story kicks off in Pretoria, South Africa. And from everything we know, his childhood was anything but easy. You've got this wild contrast in his early years. I mean, on the one hand, the kid's a total prodigy. He taught himself to code and sold a video game, Blaster, when he was just 12 years old. But on the other hand, well, his biographers paint a really dark picture of his home life. They talk about some serious physical and emotional abuse. And you have to think, it's that mix, that fire of genius and the ice of hardship, that forged the person he is today, for better or for worse. So he gets out of South Africa, moves to North America for school, and boom, he doesn't waste a second. He dives headfirst into the dot-com bubble, and these first couple of companies, they're going to be the war chest for the really crazy ideas to come. First on the list, a company called Zip2. Think of it like an online city guide for newspapers. He started it with his brother. And man, their timing was perfect. In 1999, Compaq swoops in and buys it for $307 million. Just like that. Before he's even 30, Elon Musk is a multimillionaire. Wild. But did he cash out and buy an island? Nope. He took that money and immediately rolled it into his next big thing, a little company called X.com. You might know it by the name it became, PayPal. Then, in 2002, eBay comes knocking and buys it for a jaw-dropping $1.5 billion. Now he has the money to chase the really, really big dreams. Okay, so with that kind of fortune, most people would play it safe. But not Musk. He took almost every penny and plunged into two industries that are basically black holes for money. I'm talking about space and cars. These are businesses that chew up and spit out even the biggest, most established players. And his goals were just at another level. In 2002, he starts SpaceX. The goal? Oh, just to make humanity a multi-planetary species by colonizing Mars. No big deal. Then, a couple of years later, he sinks his money into this tiny, struggling electric car startup called Tesla, with the mission to get the whole world off fossil fuels. You see, these weren't just businesses. To him, they were crusades to save humanity. But here's where it all starts to go wrong. By 2008, both SpaceX and Tesla are just incinerating cash. And then the global financial crisis hits. The whole world economy is imploding. To keep his companies alive, Musk does the unthinkable. He goes all in. He pours the very last of his PayPal money, about $40 million, into them. It was literally everything he had. And that right there brings us full circle, back to that nightmare year he talked about. Both of his world-changing companies are teetering on the edge of oblivion. His entire fortune is on the table, and everything is about to come down to a few make-or-break moments. You can't even imagine the pressure. Over at SpaceX, the first 3 launches of their Falcon 1 rocket, they all blew up, just catastrophic failures. By September of '08, they had scraped together enough parts and cash for one last shot. Meanwhile, Tesla is just bleeding money, and because of the financial crisis, all the investors are running for the exits. So, September 28th, 2008, this is it. Everything is riding on this one launch. They light the candle, and this time it works. The 4th Falcon 1 launch is perfect. It reaches orbit, it proved the whole concept was real, and it saved SpaceX from disappearing forever. You can just feel the weight lift in that quote from him. But hold on, the roller coaster wasn't over. Just a few months later, it was Tesla's turn to face the music. The company was literally days away from going broke. Musk is scrambling, begging, pleading to close one last desperate funding round. And he pulls it off at 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. In just a few months, Both of his crazy, world-changing dreams were saved at the absolute last possible second. So the question is, how on earth did he do it? How did he pull both companies back from the brink? Well, surviving 2008 is what really cemented the Musk legend. And it's a legend built on a totally unique way of thinking, a stomach for risk that is just off the charts, and yeah, a public personality that gets more and more polarizing by the day. A huge piece of his playbook is this idea he calls first principles thinking. So instead of just copying what everyone else does, he breaks a problem down to its absolute most basic parts. He asks, what are the fundamental laws of physics here? What is actually possible? A classic example is rockets. Everyone said they were expensive, so he looked at the price of the raw materials, aluminum, titanium, copper, and realized, wait a second, I can build these things myself for like 2% of the going rate. That's first principles. And that kind of thinking has led to this dual identity he has in the public eye. It's like there are two Elon Musks. On one side, you have the visionary, the real-life Tony Stark pushing humanity forward with incredible tech. And on the other side, you have this really controversial guy who gets a ton of heat for his management style, and of course for how he uses his social media platform, X. And that controversial side, it's not trivial stuff. He's faced really serious criticism. There are accusations that his platform, X, has allowed anti-Semitic content to spread. He's been criticized for tweaking the algorithm to promote his own content above others, and there are even reports of him using X to promote stuff from media groups that are allegedly funded by the Russian state. These kinds of things are a huge part of why the conversation around him is so complicated and so intense. So where does that leave us? When you look back at that nightmare year of 2008, you see someone with a tolerance for risk that is almost inhuman, and a level of determination that's just relentless. So, who is he? A genius? A wild, reckless gambler? A provocateur who just likes to stir the pot? The story of how he almost lost it all suggests the real answer is, yeah, he's probably all three.